Welcome to the Kids Table, where the conversation is about fitness, but the maturity level is questionable.
I'm Jen Wiederstrom.
Yeah, we know, and I'm Gunnar Peterson. We've got this down. Anyway, we invite you to pull up a chair as we talk fitness, the business of fitness, and the down and dirty systems of success.
It's informative, it's inspiring, it's where everybody wants to be.
This is the Kids Table.
Today's episode is powered by Yeti and Train Heroic, the go-to platform for the go-to coaches and trainers.
Where did you grow up?
I think your dildo just fell out of your pocket, Gene.
No, that's Ed.
Oh, sorry.
That's Ed's dildo.
Yeah, it's so weird. He keeps it in his butt.
It wasn't my pocket.
I carry it for him. I was in boarding school in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
But my parents were in the Middle East. But I would wrap my dad up and hug him and press.
Where in the Middle East?
They're in Saudi, in Riyadh.
So what did your dad do? Sell tractors?
Tractors. Yeah.
You know, it's cover for all the CIA guys.
Yeah. My dad was a middleman.
Yeah.
He was a go-between because you couldn't do business in the kingdom unless you were a Saudi-based company.
Yeah.
Or went through one. So he was working with one and they did it like that.
What were they? What was the?
I was like,
It was everything.
Heavy machinery.
am I?
Yep, machinery. They got contracts for certain jobs, and then they gave out the contracts, and they made money on both ends of it. He worked for Adnan Khashoggi.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then you grew up in Saudi?
Yeah, well, we were in Texas before, in Houston, and then we went to boarding school in Switzerland. And my parents were in Saudi, but we were back.
What was the boarding school you went to in Switzerland?
I lived at École Nouvelle, and we went to Briamont in Lausanne.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Did you guys not know this about each other?
No.
Nice to meet you. My name's Gunnar.
No,
But the funny part about the dad thing was same, and getting him physical.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's an entire generation, and your dad sits into my dad's generation, which would have been what they call the quiet generation. So the quiet generation existed after the greatest generation and before the baby boomers. So it's the one in the middle. They call it the quiet generation. So that's my dad.
What year was he born? 30s or 40s?
He's a child of the Depression, 1937.
And now it's the alpha generation, isn't it called that?
Yeah, the individuals that still grew up during the Depression, like my mom and dad did,
Right.
they are very, very different than any other group of Americans.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, just like the idea, like my dad hated the idea of debt. He was like he paid off his home in 1981 and carried no debt. If I don't have the cash in my pocket to buy it, he will leverage a credit card. His claim to fame was that he never once carried a balance on a credit card because fuck those people.
Yeah, that's
And he told me, he's like, honestly, never buy anything unless you have the cash in your pocket to buy it. You can use it on a credit card to leverage it so that you don't have to bring cash, but you pay it off at every month. You never carry a balance and have no debt.
How much does that stick with you?
The only debt I have is my home.
And then I guess then the greater question is how much sticks with us from our parents?
I think a lot. I mean, like that piece, like debt, where I talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I have credit card debt and this. And I'm like, the only debt I have is my home. And I don't owe that much on it. And like, I want to pay it off all the time.
Yeah.
Every time I see it come in, and like, it's really one of the only write-offs I have. So
I have none of that debt. It stresses me out.
It stresses me out. I would much rather
I have
own
no cash in the bank, but I have no debt.
Yeah.
I can't. It stresses me to know that that's going to come in and be owed.
Well, I think this is a really exciting topic for our audience to hear about, just your debt stress.
Well, I mean, like when I built my building,
He started it.
like
I was waiting for the
when
shake
I
him
built-
back, and he's like, no, there is none.
Like when I built my building and I built my gym and everything, I mean, I paid for everything in cash.
Oh,
And they were like, oh, do you want to take a home equity loan? I'm like, no.
Yeah, correct. Same.
And I remember the guy came out and poured the foundation, and he poured us the pad. I paid him in cash. The guys that hung it, and paid everything in cash.
My brother said to me, "You shouldn't have bought the gym. You should have put the money in the bank and rented." I go, "I don't want a landlord." He goes, "Who cares?" I go, "I do. I care. I had a bad landlord experience. Haunts me to this day."
Yeah.
She was a terrible person, and I just can't go down that. I have to have control of my shit.
Yeah.
I think the irony, though, is like I think about my folks born in the 40s, so 45 for my dad, 48 for my mom. As much as they've spent some, but they save so much, and my dad still is like he'll wear socks with holes in them because he doesn't want to buy new ones, and because my parents have been so frugal, I tend to spend now. I'm like, I see my parents just now. My dad's 80 years old, and they're just going to Rome this week, and I'm like.
Good.
You guys, why did you wait till you were limping through Rome? They didn't spend it earlier now they're kind of catching up. And I'm like, dude, spend your money.
Yeah.
You should enjoy it. And so because of them, I tend to spend more. Like we're going to Tall for like a fun pump club meetup in Austria. And I'm like, give me the nicer hotel. I want first class train rides. I want to have fun out there. Like, I don't know. So,
well, and I told my mom this. I'm like, if my retirement portfolio depends on your death, I have done a really shitty job in terms of living. And there's a lot of people that are like looking at their parents, real estate portfolios or what they had and like, oh, that's my inheritance. And I told my mom, I'm like, if you die penniless, and I told my dad this, that just means it was great timing and a hell of a budget. And I was like, I don't need your money. And like, and my brothers are all very successful, like your brother is and all that. And like, I told my mom, I'm like, dude, spend this. Like, I don't give a shit if you leave us anything.
I told a country singer guy that I train, I said, waiting on your parents' death is not a business plan.
It's pretty much the exact same thing where I'm like,
I know, that's why you said that. And I'm like, that's exactly what I said. I go, he's like, well, if this doesn't pan out, I know I'll be okay because I go, that's not a business plan.
No.
Well, watch this. My friend's father, spouse passed years ago, just basically went to his son and wife said, I'm going to give you your inheritance now. I know you guys have an eye on this property. And he's alive. I'm like, is your father sick? Why is he doing this? He's like, I just want you to start to enjoy the money now. Literally is
for that.
The down payment on this new property that's going to change their life, advance them 15 years, and let them go into a bigger property at a time that LA's property is a little lower right now. And it's like the greatest gift you can give.
And if it doesn't compromise his lifestyle, why not? Isn't that what the money's for?
That's what I'm saying. If you have the money, give the money, and you get to watch them use the inheritance in real time. Like, how fun is that?
You can't take it with you. And my dad also made a funny point where he's like, there's no, what did he say? He's like, there's no prize for being the richest man in the cemetery.
Yeah.
My dad had so many funny little wine line quips that he would say. So my dad was super smart, like 140 plus IQ. And
what's your IQ for my
I got twice I was tested in the NFL, 129 to 131.
Okay, so he's real, because you're like one of the smartest people I know.
So I'm
most handsome.
Listen, we haven't even started about your cheekbones.
I'm bottom Mensa. So Mensa's like 130.
Power bottom Mensa.
Yeah.
That's what you.
Yeah.
My dad is like top. So my.
That's like finally some conversation I understand.
Now I'm here, guys.
I always. The funny part about my dad is he was super smart. Graduated high school at like 16.
As a power bottom?
No.
Okay, sorry.
And then graduated college at like I think 19 or 20, and then went to work, put himself through law school, and then was basically 55 years as a private practice criminal defense attorney. And so when you have a really smart, condescending father who's a criminal defense attorney who's used to standing up in court, you become pretty quick, And he was had all these funny one-liners. I remember one time I was telling about something good I did, and he's like, just look out if you ever holding your, what do you say? He goes, if you ever find yourself holding your fan club meetings in a phone booth, be nervous. And,
sometimes you have to explain, because I used phone booth as a squat cue sometimes for people, and you have to explain what that is to young people. What's a phone booth?
Yeah, but I mean the idea of like, hey, if I got a fan club meeting and I can hold in the phone booth on my only fan, that's a real fucking problem.
Wait, you said OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
He perked right up.
But he had so many funny little one-liners that I still use to this day.
Do you think it like helped you on the football field, like talking shit, being like smart on the line, getting in people's heads? Because like,
no.
You don't know?
Really?
No, locker room talk, nothing?
I had a really interesting deal in that I was not a big shit talker.
What?
Yeah.
It's so disappointing.
No.
I'm surprised.
That's my best skill.
It is your best skill.
I suck at sports. But
I like talking shit
to you
like
and
this.
still
Maybe it's
beat
because
you.
he's so good at sports, he doesn't need to talk shit.
Well, no. The problem is I had one opportunity where I was playing against a guy who was I was playing against the Redskins. They had paid this guy all this
Commanders.
money. They brought him all down. Yeah. And this guy was all world. And I remember coming out, and I was a young guy, and this guy was not having a good day. So in the NFL, you hope to catch the best player on his worst day.
100%.
And so this guy wasn't having a good day, and me having a little too much hubris and not realizing the moment that if somebody's having a bad day in professional sports, just let them have that bad day.
Oh, I would say exploit the shit out of it.
Well, you have to, but the one thing you don't want to do is do something to them that all of a sudden makes them bow up, where all of a sudden now you tap their ego a little bit, and now they figure that they have to fucking switch gears.
Did you hear that about Michael Jordan? There's a whole clip going viral. Like everybody's like, you never talk shit to him, because then he makes it his mission to annihilate you.
Yeah.
If he was having an average day, he missed a few shots.
Yeah, there's a super famous one where he had like 5 points in the game or something, and they talk shit, and he turned around and up like dropping 30 on him. So
Yeah.
That's the last
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
great.
the idea of somebody's having a bad day, and so I was going against this guy,
Let him.
and I got up underneath him, and I could tell he didn't want to play, bad pad level, everything. And as I drove him, the pile comes, and I threw him over the pile and finished him on top, and then I got up slow and I
Talking
teabagged
about
him.
football still?
So you know what the teabag is, don't you?
No, tell us.
No idea.
Again, Ed keeps
What's
perking
that?
up.
So that's
It's
one where you
not
slow
again.
play, and as the guy goes up, you basically just step over his head and
Teabag him.
As he's
teabag him.
sitting. Wow.
And so the guy got
Girls.
super pissed, and then I looked at the guy and I started kind of talking shit, and I was like, fuck you, you ain't shit. And on top of it being like, man, all that money and this is the best you can do. And all of a sudden, like, the next play he came a little harder, and then I went down on his knees, and then I was trying to finish him and just doing
Still
a bunch
football?
Okay.
right, still beating him up a little. And then all of a sudden, we kick the punt, we come back in, and then all of a sudden I see this dude and his eyes are this, and he starts praying at me. Lord, forgive him for not know what he does. And he starts reciting all these prayer voices, like
Passages?
passages, from the Bible. Like Ezekiel, this. I mean, like literally, it was like Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. And Trey Thomas, it's like, dude, he's fucking praying at you. You need to fucking stop that. And I was like, fuck you, you fat motherfucker. And I yelled at the guy, and I was like, basically like, God isn't going to help you now, is what I said to him. So we get down our stance. I take a step to go up and hit him, and the dude rockets through my ear hole and like knocks me down and tackle for loss. And I was like, lucky play, fuck you. And we get up. He did it like 3 plays in a row.
Oh, wow.
And at that point I was like, okay. And then we punted the ball, came back in, and he like looked at me and he's like, we gonna have to keep doing this? And I'm like, nope.
Did you ever talk shit again? Did you change the way?
What I realized is that I could let my play do the shit talking, and I didn't need to like get people to bow up in those situations. I didn't need to shame them, because the problem in the NFL, like to do that job, you have to have a lot of pride in yourself. And the last thing I needed to do was shame somebody if they were having a bad day.
Yeah.
And there were numerous times where I was in a situation where I was like, man, I'd love to say something. And then I'm like, God, I'm just going to try to just fucking hurt this dude.
Do you boys have any moments like that? I mean, obviously his has to do with the football field, but like things when you made a decision as a coach or just as a guy in your life, and you're like, I am not going to do that again. Like you took a real takeaway. You're like, something you thought was good turned into a mistake, and you're like, I'm going to pivot from here on out.
Yeah, sometimes I get where I planned the workout out and we're going through it, and I'm watching the athlete, and I'm like, fuck, he's eating this workout alive. And then I think, do I add? I have a few machines, a few things, a few patterns that I would do in the gym. We call them field levelers, right? Like it levels the playing field. And I go, I could throw in a minute of this or 30 seconds of this, and that'll correct him.
Can I get clarity on what you mean? Like if he's just crushing it, level it, mean like make
he's just
him
crushing it.
feel it, it's harder?
Make it so it's not going to time out, right? This guy's going to be done in 32 minutes instead. I want it to be like a full 40, whatever it is.
Got
45.
it.
And I feel like he's just dominating the workout. I think it's shitty to just raise the weight or cut down the rest just to bury him to dominate him. I'm not trying to do that, right? I'm on essentially, and I tell them all, I'm on your team. I want you to win, but I don't want you to blitz this workout and leave me feeling like I underprepared.
Unsatisfied.
Yeah. So then I go, you know what? You've been doing this long enough. Trust the fucking workout. And somewhere along the line, he starts to slow, and I go, there it is.
Yep.
Now we're back in the saddle, and then it times out perfectly. I have people that go, how do you know how to time it out? I go, there's a certain amount of movements depending on how many are unilateral.
I've done this before.
Yeah.
This isn't my first rodeo.
But sometimes I get that, oh shit, this is not working out. And then if I trust it, it usually almost always works out.
I echoed that insecurity. Like,
I think
go.
a couple times just thinking back, like talking the shit talking, right? Like coaching athletes, that can either take them up a notch or down a notch. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I've had times where it's like you have to shit talk a guy to kind of get him up in the weight room every once in a while. But then there's also, I've had it where it just completely shuts somebody down. And the rest of their life is shit. Like it goes to shit, and they walk out of the room and we're both like, what the hell just happened? But there are really good times where, there was somebody, coaching a couple of years ago, like as soon as he walked in, you had to kind of turn it up a notch just to get the best workout out of him.
But that's trial and error, person to person, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. And like even just talking to their previous strength coaches, their college strength coaches, or whoever, they you get really good insight with people that have been around.
So coaches
for a while.
will share.
Yeah.
Some
Shit talking's interesting. For a professional athlete, like there's some weird moments. Like I I always felt too that if I was talking too much shit to people, obviously I wasn't playing hard enough because I wasn't trying to catch my breath. So that was another one. If guys were talking too much shit, I'm like, you need to fucking play harder. You got way too much energy. And then also like, there's also some karma things. And I'm actually going to tell you guys something that I've never ever talked about on a podcast. And on top of it, nobody's ever talked about in professional sports, but it might be one of the worst, most fucked up things. And this individual's in the news right now, so it'll actually make sense.
Okay.
So,
Are you going to say his name, or are you going to be
Mike Vrabel.
Are you going to be Gunnar Peterson about it and not use the name?
No. So,
I'm in the CIA.
so Mike Vrabel, who I played against and played with, who I always was good friends with, Mike Vrabel used to verbally harass our tight end, who you guys know is in the Hall of Fame, and say a lot of ugly things to him incessantly, to the point where we'd be in the huddle and this individual, aka Tony Gonzalez, would look at me and be like, what the fuck is this guy saying? I'm like, dude, this shit's uncomfortable. And
I love it. The more that's where I thrive.
but it was like extremely derogatory, to the point where if there had been mics,
I'm still here.
or if Tony, who's on Amazon, would come out and actually say it, I don't know if Vrabel would have a job.
No way.
Oh, well, really?
Yeah, like really, yeah, like some gross stuff. And
But not funny gross?
no. Like mean-spirited.
Oh, no.
Like
That's
we're
fine.
probably going to fight after in the parking lot. Type
No. Funny, clever, gross is the best.
To the point where, as an O-line, you guys were like, where you want to fuck this guy up.
Yeah, and then when I went to go play with Vrabel at the Patriots, I was like, what was the deal with that? And it was interesting. His response wasn't necessarily like, I was just trying to get in his head or this. And it's like, well, fuck that guy. And actually what I felt was that he was jealous of Tony. Tony's a good-looking dude, dates a lot of girls. Tony was an absolute rock star at his deal, and I got the impression, I was like, man, a little bit of jealous of Tony.
Oh.
And now all of a sudden it's coming out. Vrabel's got...
That's super weak.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was a very uncomfortable thing, and his response was like, I was just fucking with him, trying to get in his head, and this wasn't the response I was waiting on. And I was like, oh, and I actually, it's funny, I texted Tony and I was like, I think Vrabel's a little jealous of you. You're a good looking dude, date lots of girls. Obviously he's married and, side chicks and that. So maybe you're living the life that he always secretly wanted. And that was a weird one. And I'm always amazed that never popped up, because if that did, I don't know if that dude would ever got a job.
Yeah, especially if there was like a difference, if there had been a rumor about it, or if there had been like you said, recordings.
It was real uncomfortable shit, to the point where we're in the huddle and we're like, oh, this is.
Are you willing, Gunnar, to tell the story that you told me about the text thread from the other day? Because Gunnar and I have been kind of going deeper in on, what's up, Dobbs? Going deeper in on like leveraging collaboration for people that are at the top versus people that are competing at the bottom. I think people that are talking shit and that are getting jealous or envious are at the bottom, and there's
an age one, which is basically nobody doing better than you is ever hating on you.
Yeah, that's a great
right. Like it's true. Like nobody that's doing better than you is shitting on you.
Right.
Ever.
Right. So it's
You'll
always,
never get a nasty comment from somebody who's crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the other issue too is I think a lot of people judge their self-worth and their success based off of where others people's success is.
Yeah.
And whereas I look at it like, I am so excited to see my friends be successful.
Same. Yes.
I am like the number one fan. Like when you tell me something, I'm like, fuck yeah. Do you know why? Because I feel like the good guys are winning, and that I'm so happy to be in somebody's parade.
So I'll give you one.
Like if you're slaying it, I'll be like, Gunner's fucking killing it.
That's how I feel.
My boy is fucking rocking it.
Yeah, anybody, whatever the job is, awesome.
Yeah, and people aren't like that. Like people, I think, sit around and hope for your demise and be like,
sure they do.
Why wouldn't you support your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always look at it like, if I can't have that job, or if I can't be doing that, I'm super glad he is or she is.
Dude, Gunnar said that to me about Pump Club. He's like, I can't believe you're the one that gets to do this.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love
like,
that.
I
can't, and I was never a candidate. It was never on my radar. But it makes me super happy that Jen got it.
Yeah, he's like, of course it was you, but oh my god, I would have loved. Like that's what makes sense.
Yeah.
So are you comfortable to tell that story? The text.
Oh yeah.
Because I want you to read the text. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, the competition happens at the bottom, collaboration at the top.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Manning Sumner, who owns Legacy gyms in Florida and now in Nashville, and there's another one somewhere, maybe Georgia or something. And he's got like 7 or 8 gyms, and he also has a water company called No Days Off, which is now, I don't know if I'm spilling any beans, he's official water for a lot of big things, maybe the UFC, wink, wink, but a lot of very, very cool things are coming his way because of his work ethic, and he's just a super human being. I took Ed. We went down. We were at the Lakers. When we were in Miami, we went and took a class over at Legacy. It's just fun. It's great energy.
Workout. That was fun.
Yeah, and then I became friends with another guy recently, Shane Wallen, who's starting the Collective gym, the one in Austin. He's doing it in Nashville. That's not the guy. He's not the Austin guy. He has a franchise of it.
Because the Austin guy's a black dude, the ex-NFL guy.
I don't know who has it in Austin. I think I met one of them.
The guys that started that Collective with the K, right?
Yes, correct.
They started in Austin.
Correct.
I think it's a black dude who was an ex-NFL player or maybe trained NFL players.
Okay. Jeremy.
Is that who it is?
Yeah. I think
I met him, but I'm so shitty with names these days.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. He's real nice. But yeah, we went over there, checked out their place. It's great.
It's great.
So there's a lot of really good-looking young girls working out at a time of the day when probably people should be at work.
Maybe that
was weird.
Were you in Los Angeles?
No, well,
nobody works in LA.
No, but it was crazy. We went over there Tuesday at everything was 10:30, and all of these good-looking. I'm like, don't these girls have jobs?
I mean, I have comments on that. No, they're on Instagram and have OnlyFans.
Yeah, I know, but it was weird to me. I'm like, shouldn't these girls are in their mid-20s? I'm like, they should be at the prime of their life in terms of working. And
that is the job.
I was like, so you guys just work out all day?
If you're a trainer looking to level up, grow your business, and actually connect with your client, they showed up, logged the work, and I could coach them through every rep. Trusted by top coaches since 2012, plans start at just $10 a month. And you get your first 14 days for free. So head to trainheroic.com/the kids table to start your free trial now.
So Shane Wallen has Collective in Nashville, and I did an event with him down in Delray Beach for Ion, Vest, and TRX, and he's like next gen. I know he's been in MLB 10 years, but he's like the next strength coach generation. Just a great dude. And then I realized that somebody at Legacy, Manning's gym, told me that the Collective is their competition, and it bummed me out because I don't want guys I know to feel like they're competing against each other. There are enough people for everybody. There's enough.
Yeah, isn't there enough?
That's what I think. Yeah. But I guess that they felt that, and I vetted that they all felt that, and I thought, fuck, I need to connect these guys because Manning's such a cool guy. Shane's such a cool guy. So I thought, how can I connect? So I texted Manning and I said, hey, would you sell your water?
You should read your text.
To Collective.
It's so well written. Part of why I'm pulling this out of you, sorry, Gunnar.
No, you're good.
Is I was just I learned from watching Gunnar so much because he just saw an opportunity to yes, close the gap. And the way he says it, I feel like,
There we go.
here we go.
This is what Gunnar does. He's just over there,
that's my
slapping D's on A's.
Because of his,
So I put them on a text together. I go, Manning, Legacy Gyms, no days off water, friend, great guy, one of the good ones in the industry, and I fucking love him. Shane, Collective, former MLB, S&C, next generation of greatness in our field. You guys have very different business models. You both have amazing facilities. You are both new to the Nashville market. Competition happens at the bottom. Collaboration happens at the top. Collective should carry no days off water. It's a no-brainer. A savvy clientele that will understand the value and the purity and quality of no days off. Selfishly, I want us all to be friends. There, I said it. I feel better. Make some noise, bitches. And
that way they weren't hey guys,
And Manning wrote back, exactly why you are you, G. I love you. And Shane's like, we need more people like you. You paved the way, and you're still paving the way. And then they got together. And I hope it happens. And I don't know if it did, but to me, that's the stuff I like to see in the industry. And I don't think you see it enough.
No, but that's why I wanted you to read it because I'm like, I wouldn't have thought of doing that. And sometimes I don't know that I have the power or the voice to say, hey, you guys, this is what you should do. And I feel like the people that
Why is that, Jen? Is it because you're a woman?
No, I feel like it's getting enough experience. I don't know why you're laughing. It's an honest question.
No, I think sometimes women lack confidence in being able to be kingmakers.
You know what I'm realizing?
And then if you do, then it's she's too masculine or whatever. But
I still get
you
that.
have the ability to do that.
It's more than I'm realizing more and more that I bullshitted my way to the top. and
welcome to the club.
Right.
Yeah, same.
But no, Gunnar, you have been around. You've seen the terrain change over decades, and you can forecast what's coming. And you're like, I see opportunities here. Let me just save these guys 4 years and get them together now. Yeah. There are very few people that can leverage that kind of experience into real action for people in our industry. And
I think a lot of people could. I just think they don't. And because
maybe that's what I heard.
I think they don't because a lot of them go, what the fuck do I get out of it? Like, I'll get nothing out of that. But I would, like I said in there selfishly, I'd like us all to be friends. I'd like to have a party at the house in Nashville when everyone's in town and have them come down.
But I feel like our industry just needs permission to behave that way. Like,
I think they need a mandate to behave that way.
Well, I think people are so nervous about their little, the circle they draw around their little fiefdom and trying to do this. They don't realize that, there's so many people out in terms of opportunity. I mean, think about like just the market of people. It's so infinite. And people are willing to die on the sword for a few people. It's like, oh my God, it feels laborious.
It is. And you look at some of these here at Summer Strong, you look at some of these strength coaches and they put their resumes up there and they've worked at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 great programs. You're like, you can get hired, you can get another job, you can go from one to the other, or you can lock down and be in one place 15, 20 years. You just got to decide what you want to do and be straightforward and honest about it. I think if you shoot from the hip, you're going to make some really good friends. And then you don't shy away from connecting good people to good people.
So do you think, okay, because I'm thinking right now, I mean, even Ed, your pivot to the private sector, I feel like it wasn't even a year ago that we had coffee.
Yeah.
Like, weren't you nervous making the shift? And like, even though you had a legacy in the NBA, like, because you were like, it was different territory.
But he also had college before that.
No, I know, but still.
No, I was nervous. Like that's a whole new mountain. You head strength coach of the Lakers. We win a championship. Like, you're on top of the mountain, right? And it was a really cool mountain to climb. But then like looking at the private stuff, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go climb that mountain now. And you get to the bottom of that, you look up, and it's like, holy shit, how do I do this? First thing I did, I hit you guys. I hit Ben Bruno, and asked like, what do I do? How do I do it? Like, what got you to where you're at, and how do I reverse engineer?
But how did you build your own confidence in the new role? Because I feel like everybody understands like these transitions, and like I even think about John and what you've done. It's like we've all done stuff, but how did you leverage it into confidence in a space that you didn't have any?
I think I know that I've laid the foundation. I think of everything as like a pyramid. My own training for athletes, my career, like. If you lay the foundation, you have nothing to worry about. You have a rock solid foundation.
I know, but I'm going to push you back. You were nervous about coming this weekend. You're like, oh my God, I'm missing clients. I've got this momentum. So it's
100%. But that goes again to the foundation that I built. I care so much about like providing a specific experience and making people reach their goals and helping them get there. That I'm like, holy shit, if I miss one day, like everything, and then it's just like, no, like it's
all gonna fall apart.
Exactly. Like the guys were like, okay, like see you next week.
By the way,
I'm going away for a 3-day weekend. I'm going to Coachella.
Yeah, I'm 35 years in. I still feel that. I miss one day and I go, fuck, they're going to leave, or fuck, they're going to fall apart, or they're going to be pissed, and then they're going to talk shit, and then they're going to go somewhere else. I still feel that. I think that's the life of somebody who is not getting a corporate check.
Yeah.
You used to play golf with Bruce Jenner.
True story. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude.
But it used to give me anxiety. I'd come off the course and I'd look and there'd be all these messages and I'd be stressed. And it was like, right?
But I do think that's a mark of success. I mean, John, do you feel that way when you would miss stuff with clients and stuff? Or less? Because I get anxiety sometimes, but I think it's because we care. And people that care are the ones that go all the way.
Man, like, I think what's weird for me is when you start caring more than the client. When you want it more for your people than what
we
you
talked about that one client.
I can't want this more than you.
Yeah, like, so for me, I mean, when I owned a gym, the reason I sold my gym and got rid of it was I had people that came in and got these amazing results, and they'd be like, I'm just not going to train for 6 months. I'm like, why? Like, oh, I'm going skiing. We got some stuff to do. It's just not that important to me. And I'm like, fuck, the day that I wanted it more than you, I just shouldn't be doing this. And
so true.
That was like, literally, I sold the gym, and like,
did it ruin it for you?
100%.
I had a basketball guy living in my first gym upstairs for a while. His agent had asked me, could you help him out before he gets into the league? And he had a surgery, and I was training him, and he would literally miss workouts while living in my gym. And Kurt Rambis, who had just retired, said to me, you need to go up and bang on his door and tell him to come down. I said, I can't do that. I can't. If he misses the workout, and I've been down there for 6 hours training people, I can't go get him. He has to come down. That's the bare minimum as he walks down the stairs.
It's so funny. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, that's why I like working with, I mean, like I've always considered, and I know this is kind of weird kind of semantics. I never viewed myself as a coach. I just viewed myself more as like somebody who was a former good athlete and a good athlete that can help other athletes be better versions of themselves.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier when we were going to sit down, and I said, it's a funny lane change for you to go from pro athlete to trainer or strength and conditioning coach? If you see yourself as that, is that a step down? Because in the hierarchy, as the world sees it, the trainer, strength coach guy is providing a service to the athlete. So the athlete is effectively the boss. So you went from like boss to employee, if it's viewed that way. And did that feel like a step down to you?
No. So when I retired from the NFL, I got headhunted to work for CrossFit. And Greg Glassman, the inventor of CrossFit, gave me a very interesting pitch. I want you to come help us develop our technology and how to train athletes. That was interesting because I never thought about training as a technology. And I was gifted something that nobody else on the planet was ever gifted. I need you to create
giant hammer.
I need that too. I need you to create your own
Sorry,
version of
guys.
CrossFit. So all the SME people for CrossFit, like whether it be, CrossFit weightlifting, CrossFit gymnastics, were teaching a skill in CrossFit. Mm-hmm. He asked me to create my own version of CrossFit, which was like, I need you to take our methodology, rework this, create your own version to train athletes, because we know that CrossFit does not train people for sport or to be athletic.
Yeah, it's its own sport.
It's its own sport. Can you take these principles and apply it to strength and power sports and ball and stick and all that? And I was like, I think so. And we put a program together. We launched it. We got like 17,000 hits the first day. 30 days later, they asked me to teach a seminar. Now, mind you, I had been a professional athlete for 10 years, got a master's in education, so I student taught, so I had a semblance of that. But I was actually getting ready to go back to law school. And then I decided to go do this. I started putting out a program. 30 days later, they were like, you have to teach a seminar. So I put a seminar together, what I thought people wanted to know. And we taught that and then proceeded to go around and teach that. I think I taught over 200 of those from the Arctic Circle to New Zealand. And I showed up on a Friday with a backpack in the middle of somewhere in the world and would show up and fucking educate people for 16 hours on a Saturday and Sunday, get back on and then fly back home. And I did that all over the world. And what it allowed me to do was develop a lot of this stuff in real time. I had a program that was going where people were doing the program. So I had this kind of sea monkey experiment happening in real time.
The feedback straight away.
Yeah. I mean, give away a free program, having tens of thousands of people do it, and then have them pay to come to a seminar and meet them and then travel the world. So I did that for a number of years, and it helped me develop in real time what I knew about strength and conditioning and a lot of the ideas, and then realize where I was deficient, what I needed to learn, because I had to get up and present this stuff and argue and debate and write. And I started, a blog where I was just basically journaling and thinking of these ideas, and people were sending me questions and I was answering. It's called Talk to Me, Johnny. And after my favorite movie, Rambo. This was what I did in real time. And then we got approached by the military and we started doing military contracting, and we still do all the programming for the guys at Development Group. And I just kind of grew into this. And then I got to the point with CrossFit where we just kind of hit a road where my mission was different than their mission. And I kind of ventured off, and that's where Power Athlete came from. So I never really viewed myself as like a personal trainer.
Yeah, because you weren't. I mean, I see that now, because you weren't like one-on-one coaching, getting them towels, handing them water, wiping up. You didn't.
And then any of the people that came to train with us would be like, hey, this guy from Ground Branch fucked up his back. So a guy would reach out, can you come work with this guy, help him fix his back?
Yeah, then you're like half a doctor.
Yeah, and then we would come in and teach him dead bugs and rotation and figure out where he was deficient, use whatever technology he needed. Or we would go in and professional athletes would show up, and, like I trained, Will Fries came and trained with me for a couple months, plays offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings. I took him to jits with me. We went out on the field, did all the stuff. I taught him all the skills that I needed. We videoed. I figured out where he was deficient, and like almost like a mentor, as like an older player mentoring a younger player, I just showed him how to be better at his craft. I
have a question. Do you feel so? You're talking, what you just took us through is actually the story arc of like 4 different lives.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I have a shit resume.
Well, and then I think about,
super
well, let's put you guys side by side. I see like 4 story arcs for John, and you're like 35 years. I've been doing this. Did your heart, did the high from the playing start to go away, and then with this lateral move, not a regression, because you're like, I didn't feel like I lost hierarchy, into what you got to develop with CrossFit? Did that replace, like, I would say, like the higher, the passion, and then now here you are lateral again, working with these athletes as a mentor? Like, is that what dictates the new decisions in your life?
No.
Like people go into AA and then
like,
take it up smoking?
Well, no, but you haven't changed, because you love it every day. You still love it every day.
So for me, the only thing I've ever really enjoyed doing in my life was playing football. So it's really the only thing I've ever liked.
That sounds super sad.
It is sad.
And
do you want to talk about it?
Do you need a hug?
Well, imagine this. Imagine you
want a
get to
spoon?
literally train all day, and then you get to go out and just mercilessly beat the shit out of people for money. And you get to do it with cool uniforms in front of millions of people. And you get to know exactly how good or bad you are every Sunday in front of millions on repeat. So you basically pick the toughest dudes in the world, let them train, and then put your hand in the ground and be like, all right, for 3 hours, I'm going to fuck this dude's world
Do you think
up.
part of this is your essence, like in your soul? Like
Maybe you have a small hammer.
Like if this was how many thousand years ago, you'd be
Yeah.
a gladiator in the arena.
Or yeah, I mean, I would have fucking loved to like if I could have ridden on horseback and cut people's heads off with a big sword, I would fucking.
No, you were the Kurgan. We've
still
discussed
can,
this.
just so you know.
So
It's like we can need you in LA.
right, but I mean, that, like I loved not the sport of football. Right, because I never touched a ball. Like, I mean, it was more strategic in that
Stop it. You're lying.
I got to polish my sword, and I got to go out there every
Is that a
fucking
metaphor?
Sunday, and I got to put my hand in the dirt and fuck up the world's strongest people, and some of the baddest people on the planet, the people that people fear. Like, I'll just give you an example. I made John Madden's horse trailer fucking up Warren Sapp repeatedly to the point where, like, even he mentions my name, that dude fucking goes into convulsions. Right? Like that, right? And like to the point where I took my kids to a Chiefs game last year, or no, it was last year or 2 years ago, and we went. And like it was in like kind of alumni weekend. We showed up with my kids and like, went to this pre-thing with a bunch of former players, and there was a bunch of my teammates there. One of the guys that I, was on my team came over, and I didn't see him in years. And he goes over to my daughters and he goes, "You realize I fucking was scared to death every single day to go against your dad in practice." He goes, "It's still to this day might be one of the scariest, most violent people I've ever encountered." And he goes, and I laughed to think that's your father. And they like looked at me and was like, "Dad, I had no idea."
I gotta go.
There's an interesting parallel I'm going to draw because last night we were at dinner and a couple of the guys like they call them the Bugle Boys, like Sean and Colton. They just live for elk hunting. And I didn't realize that like you could really only go once or twice in a whole year. Yeah. And they're saying it's the greatest thing they've ever experienced. It's their favorite thing to do. And there's almost a romance when you find the buck that you want in the pursuit. And they are more themselves out there in nature than anywhere else. And I said, then what is it like coming back to the real world and getting back into your truck and going back to like their normal things? And they're like, it's really, really hard. And it was just interesting. I feel like the parallel is like the field, that whole process for you is their hunt for them. And so everything else is going to be less. And how do you consolidate those feelings?
It's really weird. Like you do that job right up until the point where all of a sudden you don't do that job anymore. And then all of a sudden they don't call you anymore.
Yeah, that's the part. It's the part where you go, where you can't do it as well. And then they don't ask you to do it.
Yeah, I got hurt in my 10th year, came home and had surgery.
Was that Achilles?
No, I tore some cartilage in my knee.
Okay.
And last preseason game for the Patriots, they came home and scoped me, and the doctor kind of botched the surgery, and I couldn't get the swelling out of my knee, and all of a sudden, like I missed that whole year. So like I got scoped to like right as like the week one, and I should have been a couple weeks. I should have been fine, and all of a sudden I couldn't go. And teams are calling, "Hey, we want to bring you in this," and I just I just couldn't do it.
That was your final season.
And that was my 10th year. And
that was on a scope.
Yeah, on a scope.
Fuck.
The doctor was way too aggressive.
Do you think that's a destiny change that was intentional? That the universe or God said, "You know what, John, we're going to use you over here instead." Like,
I think what happened. I needed to there's a whole path of discovery here. So I did not have the tools that I needed to fix myself because I hadn't met the right people. And so when I got hurt and I couldn't figure out what was wrong, it took me on like this whole path of discovery. So everything that I've done since then is about how did I fix myself, and more importantly, how do I fix the problems of the past? And
physically or emotionally?
Well, I mean, mentally, physically, brain-wise.
You're a different guy. We've talked about this before on your podcast.
Well, what's weird is when I retired from the NFL, something was wrong with my brain. And I knew something was wrong. Like it was a weird thing. It was like the 800-pound gorilla in the room that only you can see. And I kept telling people, and I went to I was in Dr. Amen's study on concussions and brain stuff. They did all the scans. The part of my brain that was damaged was over here on the left frontal lobe, and it was pretty severe. So they went through, you're going to laugh at this. They did all this cognitive testing, everything. And they sit me down. They're like, hey, we got good news and bad news. And I'm like, well, give me the bad news. Like, the part of your brain that's damaged is over here on the left side. And it's, it's pretty severe. And they went through it. And I was like, what was the good news? And you're like, you're actually the smartest dude we've tested. And
but you won't be in 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, and then I stopped and I was like, wait, smartest person in the study? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, well, there's a bunch of dumb NFL players. It's like being the best looking kid in the ugly class.
It's all this midget.
So I left there and I realized, I was like, man, like, this is either my reality or my wake-up call, right? I can either accept it or I can not accept it. And if I choose to accept it, then I have to move forward and find a way to fix it. And at that point, it started me on this kind of road of discovery. And I was... about a year or two later, I was doing a bunch of contracting stuff with Naval Special Warfare, and a bunch of the guys kept coming up to Newport Beach because they were in a study that was done at the Brain Research Center that was trying to figure out if there was an optimal, what they called operator brain, where they were looking at all the SEALs. They were trying to see if there was a brain signature so they could pre-select guys. Like, hey, if every one of these guys has this signature, we're just going to put the guys through selection that have this so we know we can kind of mitigate, the pool. So the guys kept coming up, and finally, like the second time, they were like, hey, do you want to come? I was like, yeah, I'd love to meet these guys. So I go over and I meet these guys at the Brain Research Center in Newport, and they introduced me, and they're like, oh, we also do this for the NFL. Do you want to be in our study? I was like, let's do it. So they do the scan. I have the brain signature.
How much later is this?
This is like maybe 2000. I retired, so I got hurt in 08. I retired in 09. This is probably 2011.
Okay.
So they put me through the study. They figure out that this part of my brain is damaged, and they kind of like did all the mapping stuff. So at that point, I go and, almost like Qui-Gon Jinn in Kung Fu, wander the earth looking for, different individuals that can fix this thing. And I've put together like a pretty good recipe on how I could fix what I thought to fix my brain.
You know how he passed away, don't you?
Yeah. That's why I brought it up too.
Oh.
So great. Oh.
David Carradine?
Yeah.
Did you know who his brother was? Remember Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah.
He just died too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just died the other day.
He died. He was
71.
He was jacking off, and didn't he?
Yeah, he had the belt around his neck.
Yeah, the belt around his neck while he was jacking off and died.
And hung himself in the closet in like Thailand. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, we can forget I asked. I'm sorry.
weird deviation.
Bummer.
But
you brought it up.
I asked.
10 years later, Nick Hardwick, who played center for the Chargers, he calls me. He goes, "Hey, I'm coming to town for South by Southwest, and I'm talking on this panel on brain health. Do you want to come?" And I was like, 100%. So
bring your own belt.
One of the things that happens with NFL players, I find them to be very flaky, and you know this. So most professional athletes. So I have this rule that if you ask me to do something, you ask me to go somewhere, I do it. Just because I try to like the movie Yes Man, like do the opposite of what other people do, just say yes. So I told him, I'm like 100% I'll show up and show you or support you. So I show up, and as the guy gets up and he's presenting, I'm like, fuck man, I've heard this before. So after I go over and I talk to the doc, and I'm like, I've heard something similar like this about 10 years ago. I was in a study at the Brain Research Center, and there was a guy, Dr. Jin, and the guy goes, "Oh, no, that's us. Dr. Jin retired. I'm Dr. Wan. I bought the business from him." And I was like, oh, shit, I did this study. And like I went through everything, and he's like, "We might still have your scans. Do you want to come get rescanned?" I'm like, 100%.
Oh, sick.
So the next year,
you get to a side by side?
Side by side. I go the next day, he does the scan, and they do the scan, and I sit down, and he puts them up on this, and he looks at the tech. He's like, "Hey, they're backwards." And the tech's like, "No, that's correct order." And he looks at me, and he goes, "Dude," he goes, "in 10 years, the peak moved backwards, which means you found a way to de-age your brain. The peak is actually higher and more sharp, so you found a way to make yourself not only smarter, but the processing speed more efficient. And we can't find any evidence of brain damage."
We're going to do that same study on Jen's liver.
So what?
I don't want to see the results.
But there was a very weird moment where I remember something was wrong, and then it was if Days of Thunder, you remember when Tom Cruise is driving and he's like going through the smoke, and he's like, "I'm through it, Harry." And he goes, he shifts it and he gets out of there. I had that moment. there were a few moments and a few things I did where I felt as if it cleared the brain fog.
So do you go back and check it in another 2, another 3, another 5, or do you just leave it as is?
Like periodically if I go out there, I'll get rescanned. But I think the issue is you
like
can't
a prostate
exist.
exam.
So I got to ask, what were like the top things that you've done along that journey to get you there?
So the first one where I started, I reached out to my buddy Matt Lalonde, who's a PhD at Harvard, and he had his researchers basically pull everything they knew about both acute and chronic brain damage, and one of the first ones was a ketogenic diet. So I did a pretty aggressive ketogenic diet for about 1 year. I don't think I ate a carb, and that was kind of like, did a little bit fix it, but it really was a combination of systemic exosomes, which, exosomes is like, if you look at stem cells, they used to wash the stem cells and they thought it was genetic garbage. The exosomes is how the stem cells talk to each other. And I went to this doc and he's like, hey, I'm going to inject these in your shoulders. We're going to do systemic, because after I had shoulder surgery. And it was weird that he did it in the morning, and about 6 o'clock that night, I was sitting there and I almost got like this warm buzz, like I'd had a drink, but I hadn't had a drink. And all of a sudden we were like talking about something, and it was as if like a light switch went on, and I was like, man, something's different. And then we had Dr. Joe DeRudy on the podcast, who's the Navy's expert on hyperbaric chambers. And I got in and I did his protocol, which was 40 sessions. I did 5 days a week.
Okay.
And for 8 weeks, and somewhere around 20 sessions, it was like the combination of the exosomes and all of that.
So the hyperbaric chamber ramped up the efficacy of the stem cell.
Yeah, of the exosomes.
Which it does with healing. I know people that get surgery, like they have to get like a nose job, and they'll go into the hyperbaric chamber to accelerate.
It was wild. And then the other big piece was, I think, and I know this to be the case now, there's a direct relationship between the gut and the brain.
Yeah.
And actually
works with our daughter's cancer 100%.
Working with, and if you guys go look at the podcast, you can look her up, Dr. Sabine Hazan.
By the way, it's Power Athlete Radio is the name of John's podcast.
If you Google Dr. Sabine Hazan, she is like the expert for the microbiome.
We can put it in the show notes for you if that's helpful.
Yeah. And like understanding not only gut diversity, bifidobacteria, this and this, and going through all these things, like as that became more fine-tuned, my neurological, whatever you want to call it, like the processing speed, everything just became extremely clear. And I feel my intelligence now was like what it was before I got to the NFL. And it was like being punch drunk for a decade and even after that. But it came up to the point where like my intelligence, everything kind of snapped back. And I remember talking to my brother. My brother, was like, dude, I could tell something's wrong, but he's like, you were real good at hiding it. And I'm like, oh yeah, 100% I knew something was wrong. He's like, how come you didn't tell me? And I'm like, well, there was no way to fix it, so I wasn't going to make anybody worry. I was going to fix this fucking thing. Yeah. And so I still run into, I have former teammates, and I feel like when I talk to them, I'm like, dude, you need to figure out like what that path is for you. It might not be the same as it was for me.
Yeah, but why wouldn't they start down your path if they're seeing their success, and then if it doesn't work, they at least have somewhere to jump off?
We talked about this the other day. Most professional athletes, especially guys that do my job, once they retire, don't do anything. So I was with a group of guys.
Like, they don't even work out.
Well, they work out a little bit, play some golf, hang out with their buddies, or do something, and then they talk to me, and they're like, so what are you doing? I'm like...
How much time you got?
Fuck. And they're fascinated. They're like, I can't believe you can do all this stuff. 2, I can't believe you do all this stuff. Like, why are you doing it? I'm like, I can't imagine sitting around. Like, I sit around and I get fucking like...
Same. I get super anxious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, fuck, I want to go learn something.
Even on vacation, I have the schedule. Maybe it's going to be later, but it's still going to be bang, 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 bang. Yeah. I just have to fill the slots.
And there's an idea where you're like in this life to constantly learn and learn new, here and go here and learn this and like anything I can learn. And I'm in this constant state of like taking on new information and being able to make myself.
You know what's funny though? The only people who shit on that and say, you shouldn't do that, you should learn to relax. It's like, it's not that I need to learn to relax. I can relax. That is relaxing for me just to push it. I just like the structure. But to your earlier point about social media, nobody doing better than you is leaving a shit comment. Nobody's doing better than you is criticizing the fact that you structure your day. It's always the people who are doing nothing.
So in Norse mythology, and kind of like, if you go back in time, Jen, you'll appreciate this. The worst thing you could be is an old man who dies in your bed. Right. So if you're an old man who dies in a warm bed.
Talking to Gunnar, the god of war in Norse mythology.
Well, think about this, right?
On my level.
The only way you get to Valhalla is by dying with a sword in your hand in battle. So my whole deal has always been like if this is like, we don't get to go cut heads off on swords anymore. So if our ability to go out and do battle and fight in this and, you know, business here and work there, like this is your definition. Like this is what keeps people alive. People retire and like go play golf. They fucking die quick.
If swords
Well,
are
actually,
metaphor,
in fact, we're just dying slow. We're not living longer.
Yeah.
Why don't you just
if swords are metaphors, David Carradine in Valhalla.
Okay. Speaking of dying with our sword in our hand, I have a question for the room.
Yeah, lay it on us.
Okay. So this is our last 15 minutes. I want everybody to answer this, and it's inspired by the end of Bo Sandoval's. I'm keeping the train on the tracks. Bo's speech, he asked a question that it came up in conversation, and it was basically like, in a throwaway culture, how do you make an impact? And I feel like that's the idea. That's the equivalent of like, how are we dying with our sword in our hands out there with purpose? And I want each of us to answer that question to wrap it up.
I'll start.
Yep.
Knowing the landscape of like college athletics, which is kind of what that was all referring to, with the roster turnovers, NIL, all that. But so I think about it in that light, but it does translate a little bit to just everyday life. With all of the turnover, you have to, if you get a new athlete or a new situation, you have to assess immediately, like, what the hell is going on with this situation? Is it good? Is it bad for me? Where do I stand? Where do I want to be? And how much time do I have to get there? That's where I start. And then kind of get in, reverse engineer that. What are the most efficient and effective and fastest ways to do that? And that goes into my training, my life, like right now with, transitioning the private stuff, talking to you guys last year, like, how do I do this? And, I think it's kind of grown its own legs and really taken off. Obviously I've put a lot of work into it, but, I think in the throwaway culture, you just have to, another thing that was said, be where your feet are, assess the scene and move forward. Yeah.
I think for me, let's just go around this way and we'll end with John because he's the poet here. I started getting really fucking tired. Like my well is empty. Like the amount that I'm the very modern day Richard Simmons. I love people into healing and I'm overcommitting and I'm going all the way. And I realized I cannot take on all those outcomes. And so to be the pebble in the pond for the people I work with, these are people I'm training. These are coaches that look up to me and ask me for help. All I know is that like taking it on fully was grinding me down. And so I can be that impact in the day, use the tools I have to help the people see themselves more clearly. Maybe that's a conversation with my brother, maybe that's a woman in my lift club, maybe that's a conversation we have as a peer. I can be the pebble in the pond, and I've got to let it go and leave it up to the person that's living their own life to take it the next step. But I was like worrying about every step and walking every step with someone, and I'm like, I don't have the gas. So that's for me, like do what I can with the time that I have and then let them like pass the ball. That's what I think found is helpful.
Yeah, recognize your limits, right?
Big time, knowing my limits.
Or respecting them more than recognizing them.
Yeah.
I'm not putting you on the spot because I can't find the answer to this in my giant melon.
You can go last if you want him to go next.
No. I want to go. I need this answer to this to tie it up. Okay. I want to say, you know that quote, the right thing to do is always the right thing to do? Mm-hmm. Who said that? It's not Roosevelt. It's not Churchill. If I had it, it would make more sense. But if you understand the quote, right? Yeah. So I think for me, in a throwaway culture,
was it Teddy Roosevelt?
That's what I said. It's Roosevelt, Churchill. I can't remember, but I know the quote, and I think I try to use that as sort of a backstop for a lot of things. So when you're at a crossroads, do the right thing. Yeah. So for me, in the throwaway culture, what do you do to leave a lasting impression? To answer your question, is you do the right thing. And I think if you stack that all the time and you keep doing the right thing with regards to your work, with regards to your family, with regards to your friends and all that, then you have left an impact that lasts longer than you do. So to me, just constantly trying to make good choices and like you see something, just fix it. If you could fix it, fix it. If I walk at my gym, if I walk and there's something left out in the parking lot and I see it, I don't just walk by or I don't text one of the other trainers. I just go pick it up or fix it or whatever. So to me, those little actions stacked equal leaving a lasting impact in a throwaway culture.
Well, I think for you, at least from my observation, is legacy. The one thing that I don't know if I've encountered another person that has created as much legacy as you. I mean, the fact that like we were joking, like I remember as a kid seeing like infomercials with you on them, and I shit you not, I opened a magazine and there's like the Kardashians and you and like this, and then it was funny because I met you here.
Yeah, that is where I first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
met Gunnar here. You know,
I knew who he was when I. Yeah.
But it was funny. Like we connected, and it's rare that like not like starstruck, but you're like, I've seen this dude for years.
Yeah.
But I was the same. I'm like,
it's kind of like the Arnold thing, where like I remember as a kid watching Pumping Iron. I was so happy.
You've known Arnold Schwarzenegger for 30 years now.
I told you we were at Oktoberfest and he was there and we saw him, right. And I was like, how do we fucking get up there with him? And like the security was so deep, and I'm like, what if we just bum rushed him and tackled him? And we were
that's in your wheelhouse.
We were pretty drunk, and so we
3-point stance.
We were in Oktoberfest. We go into this like the big tent. And we walk in and we don't have a table. And like I'm sitting with some guys and like, where are we going? I'm like, just stop and watch. And literally they're like, well, what are we watching from the rest? I'm like, shh. And I'm watching. All of a sudden I see these fucking drunk dudes shatter a glass on the ground. And I was like, those are our guys. And we went over and it was a hockey team of Americans that were playing like overseas on in somewhere in like Sweden, whatever. And they all got together to come. We literally showed up and I was like, hey. And they were like, what's up? And then I was like, Americans, man, and like next thing you know, like these are our buddies.
Yeah.
And we went over and we hung out and drank with these guys, sat at their table, had a blast. And the guys I was with was like, how did you know to approach those guys? I'm like, because I looked for the biggest assholes. Yeah. And that's how I knew those are our dudes. So then
that's how I found you here. That's how you found me.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
And then the funny part was the girls.
I am honored.
The girls are bringing over these huge beer steins. And the one thing I read was that people in Europe, especially in Germany to Oktoberfest, they just like don't tip. Like that's what they said when I was reading the guide, and I was like, oh, I'm going to tip these girls because one, they're carrying massive amounts of beer, but if nobody tips them, when I tip them, these girls are going to be complete. And sure enough, the girl came over, she brought me the beer, paid her the money, and then I gave her like a pretty solid tip, and I was like, you're killing it, let me just tip you. And she like looked at it, and when she was like, this is the first tip I've ever gotten here at Oktoberfest.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
She put it in.
The whole nobody tipped.
And literally, though, every one of those waitresses brought us beers and were like giving us tables or whatever. I was literally handing out money. We owned that fucking place.
Yeah, happily.
Yeah,
happily.
And then all of a sudden, Arnold comes in with his entourage.
Yeah.
Leader holes in the whole thing, and we were pretty drunk, and I'm like, God, we need to make an assault on.
I got to put you guys next to each other. I'm going to make it happen.
And but like the problem was I was so fucking hammered that I'm like, this is just going to go badly because I'm going to probably tackle and be like, and
do the line from Conan.
Well, the beers are 40 ounces. They're like this big. And like literally, like
I was in boarding school in Switzerland. That's the first thing I ever drank.
And like, dude, you're knocking these things back. You have 3 or 4 of them, and you're like,
oh yeah, no.
Fuck,
even
dude.
about a guy your size.
Yeah.
I think I found the quote for you. I'm going to read it, and then just because I want you to have this in your brain. I think it's Teddy Roosevelt, and it says, "In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is do nothing."
I've always subscribed to the Marcus Aurelius. Don't argue about what a good man is, just be a good man. Everybody knows what a good person is. Yeah. And I feel that if you do the right thing over and over again, and I'm sure this has happened to you, you've been in like a moment where you're like, I could do the wrong thing and benefit myself.
Yeah.
Or I could do the right thing, which might not benefit me.
Yeah.
But if I do the right thing, I don't have to make any excuses.
Sylvester Stallone used to do this thing, and he would stand in the gym and I had these tiles, right? And so there's like little lines, and he would stand and you go, no. And then he would step the other way. You say, sometimes, right, that decision, you go, I could do that. I can't, that's the wrong thing. And you have to step the other way. And it's hard because, like you said, you're pulled into that sometimes. You can't.
And I feel that once you go down that road, it's very hard to get off it. If you just always do the right thing, then the right thing always becomes.
Yeah, it's like what they say about canceling or quitting, right? The first time you do, it's the hardest. Every time.
So
I see that with clients when they don't cancel, and then somebody cancels. I go, fuck, and then it happens again in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh fuck, this is a pattern starting.
So I never quit. So I retired from the NFL, but I never quit. I just stopped going when they stopped calling me. Yeah. So I never walked away. People are like, I always joke when guys retire, they're effectively quitting. You retired, you quit.
100%.
Right? I didn't quit. they just stopped calling me, and like my phone didn't ring anymore, and they just sent me my severance. I'm like, oh, I guess I retired. Yeah. But I was like, I never retired. I never quit from the NFL because I felt that if you quitting becomes like, well, I quit last time. If you just never quit anything, then you just never have that in your mind, and you just keep fucking going.
Yeah.
I have a friend who was a SEAL, and he said to me during, I think it was his BUD/S training or something, that he was hanging off the side of a boat, and the water was freezing, and whoever the officer was above him said, "Hey, just come in. We'll get you warm in here. I got some coffee, got donuts. Come on, just quit." And he said it clicked in his brain. If I don't quit, I win.
Yeah.
Or if I don't quit, I can't lose.
Yeah.
You might not win, but you'll never lose. Right. So you never quit.
My dad had a funny one where he goes, if life's a lot like Vegas, right? He goes, if you have your chips out there and you're playing, as long as you don't take your money off your table, you never lose. Yeah. So just keep playing. And I think a lot of times with people, and I've run into this in life, where like maybe something's not panning out right, but I just need to keep it going because I don't know how this is. Just stay in the game.
Stay in the game.
If I take my chips off, then I lose. Yep. But as long as I can keep playing, I still have an opportunity to come up.
Yep. I tell my kid that with his basketball, with his tryouts and his soccer tryouts. I go, just keep showing up to practice.
Yeah.
Keep
good
showing
things
up to
happen.
the tryouts.
Yeah.
They're either going to put you on the team or they're not. But if you don't go, it's a nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is your Marcus Aurelius quote your impact? Or did you have something?
Can you repeat your question?
In a throwaway culture.
Sorry.
Go.
No,
Oh,
you finish.
in a throwaway culture,
what do you do to leave an impression?
how do you make an impact? Yeah.
I think the one thing which I've seen in the throwaway culture is very few people have the consistency to see it through. And when I talk about consistency, I don't mean just a day or two. I mean, can you, for years, keep this blind consistency and like just effort, like as if the wind is coming with, and you have to keep your shoulder to the wind and just keep moving. Don't stop your feet, and can keep moving your feet with just an insanely blind, just fucking grit and consistency that takes years to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
if you can fucking do that,
so
you will
I agree
win
with that. You're so right.
every fucking time.
So
Stay
back
in
to
the
how we
fucking
started
saddle.
this, like you said, you didn't shit talk because you let your play show. So I didn't have the skills for the play, so I shit talked, but I also just never quit. And I don't have the talent. Like there's no reason.
Your
I should,
level of consistency.
No, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's fucking like
I'll just outwork you.
It puts me at all.
These guys this morning. Wait, you were out till what time last night?
It's 2:45.
You're right, and you went to the gym at what time this morning?
7 a.m.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's what we said.
Yeah.
And there was never going to be a question. That's what we said.
Yep. No, I see it. I see it, even coaches that are struggling to like get a class going and get a business going. They just quit so soon. And I was like almost 2 years ago now, I started like my women's lift club, and I had 4 people coming to class.
I was just going to say,
people.
I know those.
Well,
I'm Jen Wiederstrom. I had nobody fucking coming.
Think about it, you like online training and this and doing all these things, and
We'll
it was
quit too
like
soon.
and this and going and then all of a sudden just keep playing the game.
The guy who,
But now 2 years later, I got a room with 30 women.
Yeah.
Because I stayed consistent every
Yes.
week, showed up, trained up assistant coaches. But you've got to stick with
the
it.
guy who invented spinning asked me to teach it, and I was a trainer. So cue the jokes, I know. And when I first taught it, there were a few people. I was teaching it very different from Johnny G.
You mean like only 2 or 3 people in class?
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
And that was going to say it about another trainer I know. He's got like 6 people in a group and he's ready to quit. Like you had 4 people and you're ready to quit. But I would just stay with it because my thought was the people who are in here are getting a good workout. I'm doing free cardio. I used to pay to take aerobics classes or anything just to keep me doing anything cardio. Now I'm doing it and I'm getting paid, whether it's a little bit or a lot, doesn't matter. I'm getting it done. And over time, the room fills up. But if you quit,
It's pound the rock, right?
Think about
Yes.
So one of our trademarks at Power Out, they just move the dirt.
Yeah.
And where the analogy comes from, I was on this Barbell Shrug podcast years ago.
Yeah.
And the guy asked me about my training philosophy, and I said, training's a lot like moving dirt, right? There's a big pile of dirt over here, and I got to move it from here. And as long as I take a spoon or a shovel, I'm still moving the dirt. And where the analogy comes from, and the reason I changed it. When I was a kid, we grew up in Southern California. We didn't have AC or a heater in our house, so we had fireplaces.
Okay.
And we had a heater, but we come to find out that my dad never hooked it up. So it was always cold in the house, so we burned fires. And we would burn through quarts of wood or whatever. But periodically when it would get low, my dad would just have a truck pull up and he would dump this massive fucking pile of wood
pile.
in the driveway.
Yeah.
And so we would come home, get off the bus and walk, and we'd see this fucking wood pile.
Oh, no.
And we knew
Yeah.
that my dad wasn't going to come home until it was dark after work. And he liked to park his car in the garage. And if he couldn't park his car in the garage, he was going to be pissed. So we'd walk in and we'd see this big fucking pile of dirt or a big pile of wood, and we'd start stacking wood. And I remember my brother was like, grab a big piece, grab a little piece, just keep fucking moving the wood. And he goes, we'll just get it done if we don't stop. And so when I was on the podcast, I realized most people hadn't stacked quarts of wood like that anymore. So I kind of changed it to
we
moving
did in
dirt.
Chicago. We were the same way.
But you talk about the dirt. I know a guy in LA who's a Louisiana guy, and he and I used to talk about the culture of raising kids in LA. Very different from, I grew up in the South, he grew up in the South, right? And he said he still does a thing with his kids, his boys. He used to take them to some land he had in Louisiana, and he called it man camp. And he had a huge pile of dirt, and he gave them shovels, and they would move it for a couple hours. Yeah. Then he would feed them, and they go, what are we going to do now? And he goes, now move it back. And so that's exactly that stuff. And he used to say, and I used to say to my kid's mom, I should take the kids there. Nah, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you could. And
no, I love it.
Well, that's kind of that.
Great form.
I can't remember who did it, but they called it like a sled dog mentality, where when they put the sled, the harnesses on the dogs and they run with the sled, in cold, whatever.
Yeah.
But those dogs live to pull. And their entire life is putting the harness on, and they just that mentality of there's weight behind me and I'm going to pull this thing and I'm going to do it until I'm fucking dead or we get to where we're going. And that sled dog mentality, move the dirt, all this that we've used fits within that. And it's been good and bad, because I also have the ability to persevere in the face of when I probably should walk the fuck away.
Right, like injury.
Yeah, injury.
Financial disaster.
Just everything.
Yeah.
And be you know what? I'll just keep fucking moving dirt. And there might be times where you're man, I should have cashed the chips in. Whether it be, dislocating fingers during plays and resetting them. I played 17 weeks with a broken leg. I mean, all these things that I was able to do was just because I figured if I physically couldn't do it, my body would tell me, but for some reason my body never let me down. It was hey, we're going in to do this. And my fucking body was yeah, I know we're fucked up, but we're still going to do it better than anybody else.
But that's also really cool resiliency too, durability of the mind. Your body held out, thank God, but it's your mind.
Well, I don't know if it's genetic or what, but I'm insanely weirdly durable. When I had my knee surgery, the guy x-rayed my whole body because I had all those crazy osteophytes. And he's this has to be genetic. There was no deterioration anywhere else.
That's great.
And the guy's your hips are fine. He's dude, I have guys that play high school football that I've replaced all their joints.
Yeah, but then so your body allowed your mind to become just as durable.
Well, and also I think when it goes back to, I was the youngest of 3 boys. I have a general disdain for loss and to lose. I don't like to lose. And I feel that
against other people or
just
against
in
yourself?
general.
I don't have the competitive thing against other people.
Against myself, against other people, against life, against whatever it is. If we're playing checkers, I might not say, I'm fine with it. I'm not fucking fine with it.
That's funny. I think my brother has that. I think my mom's super competitive. I don't have that. And some people, wow, show me a good loser, I'll show you a real loser.
No,
I'm no. I'm competing against me. I don't, because to me, all the shit we're competing against is made up anyway. Who gives a checker?
Well, what gets to be nice in the NFL, especially for the job I did, you put your hand in the dirt and you get to one-on-one fist fight a dude.
Right.
And then you know what? They blow the whistle and we get to go back to the line and do it again. That shit was extremely addictive to the point where I fucking loved it. I got to train the entire off season to make sure that I was in the best shape and I was the most skilled individual, so I could go out and literally try to fuck people's worlds up. And and you play it and you try to hurt people. I mean, I took a Mike Tyson approach where I went heavy and hard to the head and the body and would literally try to concuss people and fucking end their lives.
Sounds like Ed's sex life.
I loved it. I loved it.
Well,
it was so
and
great.
On that note,
and then you don't get to do it anymore. And then next thing you know, you're out there talking about strength and conditioning. And the only analogy I can give it was in Fight Club. Do you remember where he said after Fight Club, it's it turns the volume down on everything?
Yeah.
After playing pro football, it's in my entire life, the volume's been turned down. And it's a really weird thing. And I think the only thing that's...
Are you trying to turn it up?
We have to stop asking questions because we have to go eat lunch right now.
I like talking to John.
All right, I'm going to go... Well,
all right.
we're going to run out of...
You leave.
No, but finish the...
What's the name of this podcast?
The kids
Gunner, I'm
table.
trying to get Gunner to wrap it up because we have to go to lunch. We have to get back into the seminar.
Oh, we have to go to lunch. So you know what, John?
Let's do it.
We'll go to lunch and you'll have a seat at the kids' table.
Awesome.
I have to pull the cord or we'll never get out of the room.
Let's do it.
All right, love you guys.
See you.
All right.
Do it, everybody.
Putting D's and A's.
Don't forget to hydrate, lift heavy, and call your mom. Actually, after listening to us, call the priest.
Please like and subscribe and comment, even if you only mildly enjoyed yourself.